Let's edit an astrophoto, this time WR134, Wolf-Rayet star, which is best known for this shell of material, like a bubble that's around it. Let's see if we can capture that from a city centre. I've got here on the left 30 minutes of integrated time using an Optilong L quad enhance filter. It's not very long, just 30 minutes, but we're only using this to have the star colours. And then the bulk of the data is over here on the right. This is 26 hours of data using an Optilong L Ultimate. So that's hydrogen alpha and oxygen 3. 26 hours is quite a long time, but we need that because this is a fairly faint object, the O3 shell here in particular, and I'm imaging from a Portal 8 city centre, so we need a long integration time to have any hope of getting a decent image out of it. Alright then, first thing to do then, let's just rename that L quad and make a clone of it so that we can go back if we mess anything up. And I'm going to call this one just Alt, and drag and drop to make a clone of it. Alright, and now my data is oversampled, so I'm going to do an integer resample here for the L quad first of all. This will reduce the resolution, but I'm oversampled, so it will give a bit of a boost to the signal to noise ratio. If you're not sure whether you should be doing this or not, then I've got an article on urbanastrophotography.com about integer resample and when to bin your data. Next, let's align these images because we need to make sure they are exactly matched up. So we're going to run star alignment. Our reference image, we'll use view because we've got the views open here, and I choose the image that has got the most data in it. So that's the ultimate there. Alt, and our target image, what we're aligning it to, it would be L quad. And I'm going to click the circle button, and then that should spit out a new image here, which looks dark at the moment because that's what we need. Because we need to run an unlinked screen transfer function to see it. We don't need that original one. You might be able to see there's a slight crop here. That's normal, but we can fix that. What we need to do is dynamic crop. I'm going to hold down Control to maintain the aspect ratio. I'm going to crop in just a little bit, maybe a little bit more. And we want to run this crop on the two images exactly the same. So to do that, I'm going to drag and drop the triangle over onto the other image, and then click on the tick to apply it to that image. And then those two will be lined up exactly. You can always test this if you want to by making two windows that are the same size. Oops. Then to make the two views match, you drag and drop one onto the other. Then put the two windows over each other. And if you hold down Control and press page down, or page down, sorry, on your keyboard, then it will flick between the last two images, and you can see these lined up exactly, I would say. Alright, what shall we do next? We've done integer resample, we've aligned everything. We should run image solver. Just a quick thing to do. This will give PixInsight lots of information about the image that will be useful later. If you're using a proper astro camera, then all of this information will be completed automatically, and you just need to click OK and give it a few moments to run. And then it won't look any different, but there's more information there that PixInsight can use. Let's run the same process here for the alt data. Alright, next let's run some gradient removals. We have lots of gradients in our images, particularly from when we're imaging from cities because of our light pollution. Now the best way I've found, the easiest way, is to use a free plugin suite here from SETI Astro, Automatic DBE, and I'm going to run that first on the L quad data, and this will I'm just leaving it all on the default setting because I find it works quite well like that. And we should get out of it two images. We've got the extracted background, which we can have a look at if you want, just to see the gradients that have been taken out, but really the image we want is this one. Let's take a look. Okay, don't need the previous one, So we're keeping that, and then we're going to run the same thing on the alt data here. Script SETI Astro automatic DBE execute. And then if we're curious, we can see the background that it removed, all those gradients. And then the actual image here. You can see with the gradients removed, it's a bit more apparent, the nebulosity. We don't need the original. Alright, let's make clones of those. So L quad ABDE, clone it in case we need to go back. And then this one, clone it in case we need to go back. The next stage is to run Blur Exterminator, which is a little process that will help to sharpen our images. I do a step before that, which is PSF image, which I think is a free download. Let's run it on this one first. And once that process is run, what we want to do is look at the two full width half maximum numbers for the X and the Y. We want to work out what's in between those two. So that would be about 1.47. So remember that 1.47 for this image, and we need that 1.47 because when we run Blur Exterminator, that is our PSF 1.47. You can leave it on automatic, but I just find that I get better results by calculating that using the separate function. Right, let's run Blur Exterminator then. I've left everything else with the defaults, and that should sharpen up the image a little bit. It's quite subtle, but if you zoom in when you do this yourself, you should notice it's a little bit sharper after Blur Exterminator. And now we're going to do the same thing for the alt data. So first of all, we need to run PSF image and evaluate. Again, the same thing here. We want the number in between the two of those, so that would be 1.47. 1.47. Same one. Okay, let's run that. And next we're going to sort out the colors in our images. To do that we'll use SPCC. A good thing to do beforehand is to find out the background, a little bit of the background of our image, because that will be useful for SPCC. The easiest way is find background, which is another SETI Astro little function there. So after we've run that, this area is what is being given as an example of just neutral background for the image. Right, so let's load up SPCC. This data that we're working on at the moment is broadband data, so we don't need narrowband filters mode checked. We are going to use a region of interest within background neutralization, and that's what we just calculated. So that's the background there we just selected, and we're going to run that, and we should get a nice little graph out of it, and then an image that's got the colors sorted. Alright, so there's a nice graph. We don't need that, we can close that. Colors have been neutralized, so they should be more accurate, and we can right click and delete that preview because we don't need that anymore. And now we're going to do the same thing for our ultimate data. So first of all, we're going to find the background. This time we are going to use narrowband filters mode because this is L ultimate data, which is hydrogen alpha and oxygen 3. Now, standard caveat that I give whenever I use this is that SPCC is not designed for use with these dual band filters, but I use it anyway because I find that it works just fine. But if you want to be a bit more professional about it, you might want to do your color calibration using a different method. There we go. Sorted. Okay, let's rename this. Last thing we did was SPCC, and make a clone of it. And SPCC, and make a clone of that. Right, then we're doing well. Next thing is to stretch the data. And for the stars one here, I'm just going to use another SETI Astro. Let's do statistical stretch. Let's preview that. and we're just interested in the stars, so it doesn't matter too much here how we do this. That looks about right. Click execute. And then what we want to do is remove the stars from the background, because we only want the stars from this image. So to do that, I'm going to make a clone of that here and use StarNet to remove all the stars from this. This is you might be thinking, hang on, we want the stars, why are we removing all of them? Well, we need a version with all the stars removed so that we can utilize screen stars here. Star removal. The star review is L-Quad SPCC. The star less view is what we just made, L-Quad SPCC clone 1. And then we click tick. And hey presto, we have our stars. Don't need that one anymore, don't need that one anymore. My personal preference here is to give a bit of a colour saturation boost to the stars. Just so, oops, sorry, this is the preview over here. Just so that they've got a bit of extra sparkle to them. Let's run that. And then we're going to put our stars out of the way, and we'll come back to them like almost at the very end, because we put the stars in almost as a separate step at the end. Now then, normally when I'm stretching data like this, I would use SETI-Astro, and I would use Perfect Palette Picker, and this is HA03 SPCC. Oh, hang on. What am I working on? This is the one I want, isn't it? Alt SPCC. Sorry, script SETI-Astro, Perfect Palette Picker, Alt SPCC. Oh, yeah, it's still linear, that's good. And I would select a palette like this. However, this might work, but it's a little bit faint on the shell. I wonder if I can make that shell a bit brighter. So I'm gonna try a different method, just for fun. So let's use GHS, Generalized Hyperbolic Stretch. I'm going to take the linked stretch off that. Let's have a preview here. And stretch here. Oops. With SPCC, with GHS, sorry, you do it in several steps. One step. Boost the intensity a bit. You know what, is this looking? Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. We've got quite a good amount of nebulosity. This is what I'm after. You see there's more nebulosity here than in the this 4-ax version. So I'm going to call that one GHS. Ping it over here, clone of it. We don't need our stars, do we? Because these are not accurate colour stars. So let's just remove those so that we can just focus on the nebulosity. Alright, that looks pretty cool, I think, actually. You're starting to see some detail here in the shell. That's what we want. Right, let's give it a little curves boost. Just to make it pop a little bit more. Before, after, before, after. But I want this shell to pop even more, so let's try being a bit tricksy about it. let's split this into some RGB components here. Split into RGB. And this will allow us to give the shell a bit more of a boost. So I'm actually going to rename this one RGB, and I want to give this shell here a boost. And to do that, let's do a bit of a curves transformation. See, the shell is coming out a bit more here. Okay, let's apply that. I'm tempted to do a little bit for the blue as well, but there's not as much signal in this data. You can see it's very noisy. There's not much going on there, which is a sign that actually this data would really benefit from mono imaging. But I like OSC because it's simpler, and I find it more fun. So we're going to give it just a little boost. And then I think that we should run a bit of noise exterminator on these. Quite a high amount. Let's run 0.7 on all three of these source images, the R, the G and the B, just to take out some of that noise, smooth them out a bit. R done, and now the G. And then finally the R over here. Alright, looking good. Next we want to combine these three into one. So what's the best way to do that? Let's see if I can remember. So a few different ways, but I reckon Perfect Palette Picker makes it quite easy. So our hydrogen alpha is our R, our red channel. Our O3 is B, our blue channel. And our S2 is G, the green channel. We've stretched our data, so we don't need that checked anymore. And now we're going to create palettes. And we should hopefully see that there's a bit more prominence of in the blue. Let's go with this one, have a look at this one. Now, does that look better? Yeah, you see that there's more definition there than when we just did the Perfect Palette Picker straight off. So in this instance, with this particular image, I think it made sense to separate out those channels into RGB and to tweak them separately, just because we wanted more detail in this area, in the shell. Now, which one to go with? I think the 4-ax is quite nice. We don't need these, so let's close them. And now plenty of things that we can do here. Shall we run a little bit of dark structure enhance? I like that. I generally set that to about 0.25. That helps to bring out some details. Subtle, but good. Maybe some unsharp mask. I like my images to be nice and sharp. And I probably overdo the sharpness a bit. So you might want to be a bit more conservative with it, but and I always do that. For unsharp mask, you have to drag and drop the triangle to run that. And then we might want to play about with the colours using, where is it? Selective colour correction. So we've got our red to start with. I'm just going to do this quickly. Boost the luminance and the saturation. Play about with some of these other settings. Be a bit more red. Ooh, looking cool. quite fiery. Maybe some more contrast in there. All depends on what kind of look you want to go for. Anyway, let's just go with that for now, just so that we can be speedy. And then we can do the same thing with other colours, like try and get a bit more of the blue and the green through in the shell of the material there. It doesn't seem to be registering much for the blue. Yeah, a little bit more there. Anyway, you get the idea. I know this video is going on a little bit long, but you see what you do here. Once you're done with that, you can always tweak even more. And then let's just skip ahead and put the stars back in, shall we? So we're going to go to Script, Utilities, Screen Stars, Star Replacement. So the starless view is Final 4 Acts 1. And the stars view is just called stars. That's what it was made to be called earlier. Click OK on that. Then, ta-da! If the stars are a bit overpowering, then I like to use a Bill Blanchen Mike Cranfeld function here, which is all about reducing the stars. So I'm going to make a clone there for the starless, remove the stars from this one, and then you can drag and drop these different methods, and it should reduce the stars a little bit each time to help bring the nebulosity out. Then we can run our integer resample to get the resolution back. And as a final step, just on this version, I received a good tip from one of the great minds over on the Stargazers Lounge forum about how to do an extra little step at the end to help kind of make sure that the stars don't look too blocky or chunky once you zoom in. So what I'm going to do is go to Resample and go to 50% using bicubic spline. Spleen? Run that and then bump it up 200. What that does is it kind of smooths out the stars. Alright, looking good. I think I'm going to play about this a little bit more, see if I can tweak the colours, get them just so, maybe bring out that shell a bit more, but for now I hope that was useful and you have the general idea, and that one was a little bit different. I don't normally split out the channels like that, but for some images it's definitely worth it. All right. Thank you very much, and see you next time.